to water. After that, we'll set budgets for those. Roland is here in the audience in the back, and perhaps Roland, you could comment on that subject. But I think it's we still need to commit additional resources, I think, to putting something in place. So, Roland.
Just to quickly summarize, Tom is basically correct. We have enough money to complete our initial studies for essentially have five of them going on to bring us to the October 1st. At that point, will there be a recommendation to pursue one or two further? We do not have any money set aside to do that additional work after August 1. So we have enough money to get us to August 1, and that's it.
And
on the water supplies
projects.
That'll
give us a list of projects that you recommend to move forward with.
Exactly.
And then we're going to have to figure out some funding for the progression of that.
Exactly.
Well, I guess we got to get to step one before we can get to step two. Thank you, Roland.
Thanks, Roland.
I got some other questions. I just got a memo today from CSAC, I believe, and it's, yeah, they're talking about the the 809 allocation of the Prop B money, and they list Mendocino County is receiving roughly $1 million in 08 and 09. That's not reflected in this budget, is it?
That email just came out in the last day or so, so I don't believe it's reflected. It's the 1B money. That
additionally?
Well, that's going to be, you know, we got the 40%. This is what's going to be the next round of funding is projected for Mendocino County to receive, and it probably needs to be plugged into the 08, 09, 3010, not the 3010 budget, but the, I guess it's the 3030 budget.
I think Johnny's correct. It's just in the last few days the governor released some additional funds under Prop 1B, and I don't think we have those included.
Right. If that's the case, and I haven't seen the memo from CSAC, we would deal with that in our housekeeping for final budget.
And Mr. Chairman, if you want to indulge me for a minute. On the agriculture.
3 minutes.
Okay, Budget Unit 2710, we're recommending full funding for the basically 3 trapper positions in Mendocino County. But, you know, frankly, the trapper positions probably deal with more of the uncontrollable drug issue in this county than any other, the animal control budget or any other budget. And 3 trappers to cover Mendocino County isn't, I mean, I know the trapper in the North County spends probably better than 50% of his time over on the coast. And I was just wondering, maybe because we only pay, I think it's about 30% of their salary, and all the equipment, everything is supplied by the Department of Agriculture. So I was wondering maybe if we could talk our Fish and Game Commission, and they're sponsoring, I believe they have the extra money in their budget to, because certainly it's with the uncontrollable dogs, it hurts our deer herds and everything. So maybe if they would put up enough of the county's match to create another, because I know the U.S. Department of Agriculture is very interested in having another position here, and I think if we offered up our part for that 4th position, that they would really look seriously about creating that 4th position in Mendocino County. I'd just like to see that researched.
Certainly, we can add that to our list, certainly.
Good idea.
Yeah, and with that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Wyatt. Oh, I'm sorry. Supervisor Delaware.
Okay, Mr. Chair. In terms of the, and I believe it would fall under the land improvement part of transportation, you're recommending that the civil engineer position not be filled and extra help be utilized, and that's fine. My concern is right now that department, and it may be a different aspect of it than the land improvement, but I think that's where it falls. In terms of the surveying and some of the work that has to be done on a lot of applications that have come in, we're looking a year out on some of this stuff, and that to me is not acceptable. So how do we get that done? And then those, if a person comes in with an application for, say, a road vacation, or to wait a year to get that process because it's just standing in line, that doesn't work. So if we can use extra help or find some way of progressing those, that's great, if that's what we're trying to do here. But I know that the director's been working hard to try to get those things done, but I know of some that have been well over a year. And that doesn't work, because that in the long run will save us money by taking miles out of our maintained system. But that's just an example of where we're not getting these things done.
If I may respond, the recommendation that's being put forth here for the civil engineer to remain vacant is basically mainly because the civil engineer recruitment has been unsuccessful. And per Mr. DeShield's recommendation, he states he's better off using extra help to help compensate for the fact that that position has been vacant. Internally, I don't know how he's adjusting to get some of this work done, but we're basically just not funding a position that's been vacant and can't recruit for. I don't know if he's going to have to reclass the position to another position since he can't recruit it, or what he's going to need to do in the future, but there needs to be some review of that.
As long as he's able to have some funds there for extra help to get these applications done, because they can't linger. We can't let them linger for well over a year. Thank you.
Supervisor.
I don't believe that reclassification is even an option here, because on the work that a civil engineer does, they have to have the ability to put their stamp on the work they do, and to reduce that to a position that's not a civil engineer just basically they can't do that work. We have to have somebody that can put their stamp on the work. So contracting out seems to be a good option to me. Another point I'd like to make, Mr. Chairman, I have some concerns about the solid waste budget. It's got about $80,000 increase in net county cost over last year. I hope that the talks of the privatization of the transportations and that issue is certainly on the forefront here, and we're going to come forward. I was assuming that we're going to come forward with some sort of a recommendation here before the final budget process. I guess that's a question for Tom.
It's on our schedule. I've met with Solid Waste of Willits, and Allison Glassy and Paul Kaler and I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow to define the scope of what we're going to accomplish. Then we will have a meeting with MSWA, Solid Waste of Willits, Waste Management, and Solid Waste from DOT, and see what opportunities we have for some public-private partnerships.
Any additional questions for the resources departments? Okay, let's move on to general government. Ms. Wyatt?
The general government budget is primarily comprised of the clerk of the board, board of supervisors, library, county clerk, assessor, elections, retirement, grand jury, emergency services, OES, museum, our miscellaneous budget, and the teeter plan budget. Last year, our adopted budget was $7.8 million. This year, it's $5.3 million. The decrease is primarily the fact that the teeter plan has a balance of 2.5 in it, and the revenue that offset that general fund is basically the big difference there. Does the board have any questions?
To the board, Supervisor Pinches.
Actually,